guys on an application for a device like this. I do want to tell you all, this presentation is really more about where notebooks are going, especially around ultra-mobile notebooks. So we're not going to spend really any more time talking about the capabilities of the device itself. So pretty much what we unveiled on Tuesday will pretty much stick to that message. But we will be able to kind of show you. We've got a couple of demos that weren't shown on Tuesday that we can talk about here. And Ryan will go into more of the kind of detail about the kind of application side of what we're looking for in device development. So again, so to start off the discussion, really want to talk just in general. Where are PCs? Where have PCs been, and where are they going? Just at a very high level, if you look at kind of the history here, back in the 80s, it was really about desktops. So we started off with PCs being big desktop devices, really about productivity. Moved into the 90s, and you got kind of the luggables and started to get a little bit more of the affordability. Into 2000, then you started to get notebooks and started becoming more about mobility and productivity. You started to get into entertainment really here in 2000. And then today, the last couple of years, netbooks came out and really brought in the mobility aspects, especially for consumers, but also in the business side, really being able to take that PC compute power anywhere you go. Throw it in the bag, very lightweight, long battery life. So, up until this point, I think it's about getting more and more mobile on what these devices can do for you. So the question is, where are we going into the future? And if you look at what we see happening here in the next decade, really you've gone from these kind of specialized or these more general purpose PC devices now to an environment where you've got many different types of devices. And as we all heard in some of the keynotes at IDF, I think the message was pretty clear. There's going to be lots and lots of more smart devices. You're not going to see people just having the one desktop or the one desktop and a notebook. You're seeing more and more of these other devices to do specialized things. So I think that's kind of the message as we look into the ultra-mobile PC space. It's not just about the one device. It's about what can these devices do for you at different times. So maybe you use a desktop when you're at home to create a lot of content, do productivity. When you're on the go, maybe something like like the Dell Streak we were just talking about. A small device like this might be the thing that you take on the plane with you, watch some movies on that. And you may have a netbook or something like a Duo where you want to do some productivity. So there's going to be many different types of devices depending on kind of what you want to do and where you are when you want to do it. So I think the message here, as Dell looks at the PC space, we are going to be participating in many of these different spaces. So whether it's smartphones, tablets, the smart books being kind of an ultra thin, highly mobile clamshell device with a keyboard. So those types of devices, convertible tablets, and the like. So there's really going to be a number of devices just depending on what you want to do. So with that, let's talk a little bit about where the Inspiron Duo fits in and what our approach is here to the positioning of this device. If you look at tablets, so in general, obviously iPad has gotten a lot of attention this year, but there's also a number of other tablets coming out in the market. As I mentioned, we have the 5-inch Dell Streak. We are looking at this space as well for other types of tablet devices. There's R2, and there's many different OS choices. They're great for consumption. So, for media consumption, videos, reading a book, any kind of consumption where you don't need to have to interact a lot and type a lot with the device. It's a great device for that. Long battery life, good mobile form factor, but you kind of miss out on the productivity side of things. If you look at laptops or netbooks, you've got a great productivity device. With Windows, you get there's a lot that goes along with Windows compatibility, file sharing, printing, all these kind of general capabilities. You've got all the applications available to you. You get the full keyboard. You've got large capacity storage, so more of a productivity machine, but not as elegant for the consumption. So, what are we trying to do with the Inspiron Duo? It's really trying to fit that space in between these two devices. Let's see what we got here next. Video of the device. As you guys all saw
Need to use it slowly.
Can we come up and try it out?
I think we would pretty hard. All right, cool.
Thanks.
Can you do it once more? Once more?
Sure.
Click, click, click.
What OS is it on?
So this is Windows 7 Home Preview. So then Brian will take you through a little bit of demos here in a little bit. So, with a device like this, really it's about trying to give you the best of both worlds. So when you're in the tablet mode, as you've seen, when you flip it into the tablet mode, we go into this different UI. So it's Windows 7 Premium, but we've got a very touch-optimized UI with large icons in that mode. So the idea is when you go into the tablet mode, when you're about consumption, we make it easy for you to consume media and kind of the entertainment aspects of what you get with a tablet. But then when you want to go do productivity, you've got the big keyboard and kind of things that go with that kind of experience. So that's the idea with this device.
So, quick question. Ryan, is that running an AppUp or a core processor?
It's Atom. It's a dual-core Atom processor.
So, is that like that on new 550s?
The 550.
550? So, how can you do much productivity on 550? Doesn't it run that fast?
Well, it depends on what you mean by productivity, and that's where we talk about having multiple devices depending on where you are and what you want to do. Productivity for a device like this is a highly mobile device. This is the kind of device we think this is going to play really well with families with kids or maybe students. It's something where you need to have a very mobile device. You throw it in the bag, you take it with you anywhere. The type of productivity you're going to do on this device, sending an email that's longer than a few words, where you really want to have a keyboard and do some, that kind of typing, great on a device like this.
Yeah,
so
email
that kind of productivity.
Can you use Office on here?
Sure.
Yeah, Office runs really well.
Well, it's running Windows, right?
No, run well. Obviously, not all.
Samsung phone can run all of this on the
It's
got more power than my old Celeron.
Yeah.
So no, we find the dual-core Atom for the productivity that you want on this device. We think actually runs really
You're not going to put a clip on it,
Yeah, you got pretty clear from there, right?
Right. But would you really want to?
So, so basically, as we said, when you're in the tablet mode, e-reading, movies, games, these kind of entertainment types of scenarios, great for that. Then you go into laptop mode, so social networking, you want to go and again kind of respond to somebody with more than just a few words. It's great for that. Email, internet browsing. As we're running full Windows 7, so you got full Flash support, you got Silverlight support, you've got all the applications that go along with that. So I think it kind of hits the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
What was the resolution of that now?
We are not revealing that today. So, all right, so now I want to I want to be really clear here. I'm talking in general about mobile devices in the future. So we're not.
But we see the picture. I want to get
Talking about, you can use this as one example. I'm not referring to specific capabilities.
of this device. We're just talking about
So in general, when we look at, again, as these devices become more and more specialized and more oriented towards mobility, you're going to see, and this is really what we want to have some more dialogue on here today and talk about in the demos, is, you guys as developers and working with Intel and AppUp, which we will be supporting on our platform. So AppUp we see as a great way to drive the application ecosystem for devices like this. What we want to talk about is, as these devices become more mobility oriented, there's lots of other things that you haven't seen in traditional notebooks to this point that will be brought into devices like this. So a lot of the things that you've seen in phones, the capabilities that phones have, will be kind of brought into these devices and more. So from multimedia and entertainment. So there's high definition displays. So a lot of talk about how do you get more rich entertainment content, having high definition displays and having the high definition acceleration to play that back on a netbook. Traditionally, netbooks have not played high def content very well. But the dual-core Atom processor, there's also on some of the netbooks that we ship today, we have a high-definition accelerator chip that can complement the Atom to drive that experience even better. So you can look at those kind of devices to improve the high-definition entertainment experience, video and photo capture. From a gaming and I/O capability, so looking at accelerometers, like you see in tablets and phones, gyros and the like, you're going to see more of these types of sensors. E-reading capabilities, so looking at panels that can be more optimized towards e-reading and those kind of experiences. From a productivity and usability perspective, you're having the flexibility to input to the device the way that you want to. So it's not not just about keyboard anymore. You've got touch display. So when you're in the consumption mode, you have a nice touch way to interact with the device. Flip it over, you can use the keyboard. When you flip it over, touch is still active on this device, so you can still use the touch when you need to, when you want to, when it makes sense. You can also see in devices, pen input, voice recognition types of input with Windows 7, so lots of different things. Again, I think it's kind of like the message of not one device fits all, not one I/O means of interacting with a device fits all. It really depends on what you're trying to do. Location awareness. So this is something that actually we're doing in our netbooks today, where we've got a GPS option. We've actually got a dedicated GPS option, as well as when you buy mobile broadband, there's also GPS capability. There's also Wi-Fi triangulation, so you can take from where you are in a Wi-Fi hotspot, you can link back to know generally where you are, so you can get some location information that way. Magnetometers, also things that you can expect to see from us in mobile devices. Combining all of that with augmented reality, so combining kind of the camera with some of these sensors and location awareness, you can get a pretty interesting augmented reality type of experience there. And then from connectivity, again, these devices are about being mobile. Dell is about trying to make sure that we kind of offer what's relevant to our customers. So in some cases, WiMAX may be the best choice for some customers. We do support WiMAX today. We will support WiMAX on this device. And we think that's pretty special with the bandwidth that you're going to get from that. But 3G as well. We'll have 3G options on this device and other devices in the future.
Do you also support LTE or just WiMAX?
So LTE in general is something that Dell is looking at in the future, and that's about all I'll say.
So we would be tied to using Sprint in our network, so we would be able to use AT&T.
Can you repeat that?
So as I understand, WiMAX is Sprint, and Verizon, AT&T, and others are using LTE. So being forced to use future networks will be tied to using Sprint with those, right?
So we will support 3G and WiMAX on this device, but also other devices.
Unfortunately, it would be Sprint on
Well, no. So the answer is, so we have not released any plans on LTE yet. So there's still the rollout of LTE is still pending with the various carriers. But you can expect that we are looking at those spaces, and as it is appropriate to roll those into devices that we have. You can expect it to be part of it. Okay.
Another question about
Bluetooth.
We support Bluetooth as well.
Yes. Okay, so the message is, how do we get applications to take advantage of all these things? So that's new devices, new capabilities, and that's okay. Before I hand it over to Brian, just kind of one other thing to put out here is, so if you look at tablets, iPad obviously a lot of momentum there. They've sold a lot of units. So 3 million in 90 days. I think it's even 4 million at this point now. Projected, I think, maybe close to 10 million by the end of the year. But you've got all tablets for next year based on the industry forecast, 25 to 40 million next year. And you've got application spaces with iPad and Android. 200,000 applications out there. You've got over 50,000 for Android, which it says a lot about those devices and the popularity of those. I think kind of turning that a little bit different way. I think for devices like this in the Windows space, I think we look at that as number one, the laptop space with Windows capability and what the opportunity for AppUp is. Huge market potential out there. So just for general notebooks notebooks today are 40 million, will be about 40 million units by the end of the year, and projected in that range for next year too. So a much bigger ecosystem already exists on netbooks, and you can expect as we add these additional features into products that we're doing for next year, they will go across everything that these devices in that space. And if you look at kind of just general Windows devices, 220 million notebooks for consumer SMB. So huge market of Windows devices out there, and basically an untapped potential in an AppUp environment to go support devices like this. So I think the message is, do you want to be one of 200-something thousand, or do you want to be one of the killer new apps that takes advantage of the sensors and the capabilities of devices like this and really go out there and make a splash? So I think we got a great opportunity to do a device like this, and we'd like to talk a little bit more about how you go approach that.
So I'm very new to Dell. I recently joined Dell from a company called Frog Design, where we did a lot of product design, we did software design, industrial design, and the entire time I was there, we were working with Fortune 100 companies to come up with new experiences for computing. And I've done work on so many touchscreen computers that have been relegated to very specialized use cases. We've done sensor work, 3D gestural technology and things like that, which ends up in a very niche bucket somewhere that 50 people play with. I worked on HP TouchSmart for 3 revisions. I don't know if you've seen it, it's a big all-in-one touchscreen computer, very niche product. And the point is that we're starting to see this touch technology now getting introduced into less expensive computers that are used in a wide variety of situations. It's not something that's just going to live in your kitchen, on your countertop or anything like that. And the opportunities that you have for creating applications that actually can now take advantage of direct manipulation, things where the user feels that much more connected to the actual software experience, the doors are about to be blown off there. And we have a lot bigger opportunity here with these devices because of the underlying operating system support. So on things like Android, on iOS, the software vendors, the people who are making these platforms, are telling developers what software tools they must use to develop applications. So if you want to develop Android applications, you're going to write your apps in Java. And I know there's cross-compilers, I know there's other ways to get around that and use languages and tools that you would prefer to use. But the point is that in order for your applications to truly be compatible and to truly be guaranteed that they'll make it through any sort of app verification process, you're very pigeonholed into what tools you can use for developing applications. We've got a Windows operating system on this device here, and the number of technologies that you can use to write applications for it, and the number of technologies and applications that already exist and can just have some small extensions added to be a lot more valuable to consumers on a device like this, or on many of the new devices we have coming out for touch capabilities, for sensor capabilities. It's a much greater opportunity. So, no forced software platform. We're going to be shipping this device with our new set of software applications. Some of those are written in pure DirectX, others are written in Silverlight, other applications are written in Qt. And the point is that we have vendors that we work with. We haven't been forced to rewrite a lot of code. We can leverage existing software assets and just make modifications necessary to support touch-capable experience, or to leverage things like sensors that exist within the operating system. Reuse I mentioned briefly. If any of you are developers and you already have existing applications, the amount of time it takes to introduce something like touch capabilities to your software is much smaller than what you would expect. Microsoft has a great guideline that they publish on their website, which describes tiering for creating touch-capable or touch-enabled software applications. And a lot of times it just comes purely down to making larger tap targets. So you don't have to, most of the IME controls and the standard Windows controls that your application are built with, Windows adds a layer of touch on top of that, so the developers don't have any additional effort to be put into pop up the on-screen keyboard or things like that. And finally, future devices maintain hardware and software capabilities. So, we're going to start introducing a lot more netbooks, notebooks, and other products, and we're kind of, maintaining that touch is now going to be a big portion of our catalog of products. And we're going to have sensors in a lot more of our products. And so, if you're making an investment, think beyond just this single device that you see here, because we don't plan to just kind of relegate these technologies as time goes on. Plus having the back-end threads running behind that to actually do more computational processing or fire off network events so that you're downloading data from the web. You're not running into those contention issues on the processor. So just wanted to show you a few kind of sample applications just to give you an idea of how kind of straightforward and easy it is to introduce some touch-based capabilities. I'm just going to flip this around because you guys love that so much.
Is that endurance tested, the hints?
I'm going to defer to
What was the question?
Dave.
Endurance tested?
Yes, you can expect.
The hints,
Yeah,
the
you
middle
can
hints.
expect that the hinge has gone through what you would expect from Dell. The rigorous quality testing designed to ensure the endurance.
So this application, you may have seen some mention of it actually out on the boards out there. It's an application called Puzzle Touch. So basically, this is a Silverlight application. We're probably going to get a little bit of network latency. Well, it's actually running a little bit faster. The conference network was slow previously. So this application, it's running in the browser right now. I'm just going to pull up one of these videos. It's a jigsaw puzzle application. And the application is called Puzzle Touch. However, it's completely mouse usable. So if you were to publish an application like this, the changes in the UI for them to move it from a touch version or from a mouse version to a touch version, it's actually, there's really nothing that's being done differently, aside from handling touch-specific events for things like panning and zooming, where you may not do that with the mouse. So let me just go into one of these puzzles here. So what this app is doing is they've taken a full motion video, they've sliced it into puzzle pieces, and then you can casual game where you can actually just put the puzzle together based on the video pieces. But if we look at the experience, all the actions of kind of moving and navigating with the pieces, this is all translated as normal mouse move events.
Can you turn the weekly cast
Sure,
on?
sorry about that.
Okay,
There you
no,
go.
it's good.
I was trying to see.
So, questions on the touchscreen. The Windows 7 touch is not as sensitive or responsive as the iOS. Do you know if Microsoft is doing something to improve that?
So
This is very Windows 7 specific.
well, what do you mean when you say it's not as sensitive? Because
It's
there's a lot
not
of things that play into it. Like most tablets previously were, there's different tablet screen technologies like resistive touch versus capacitive touch. The event reporting, I would imagine that from a software standpoint, you would be seeing the same level of support. So, what in particular are you?
Well, just like when you try to drag it, and I've done it myself too.
Yeah.
See, it has a little bit of delay.
But there's so many things that are playing into this. It's
So,
hard to.
I also developed for iOS. It's
Yeah.
very responsive. It's just that's the reason the consumers really like it. Is like almost zero time.
You're talking about the latency between
Latency,
moving something.
latency.
Right. And a lot of that, there's so many variables that play into that to point that on just like a Windows API or this, it could be application specific. I'm not going to put something on there to say that Microsoft's implementation of touch is better or worse than iOS's implementation. If you notice, in this application, instead of doing, because it was originally a mouse-based application, they've added these handles on the side for rotation. So as a user uses the mouse, they can still navigate the application just fine. Or a touch user, you have this direct manipulation, and you get a much better experience without having to add any additional development time. They've also introduced, controls to the side for zoom, so that as a mouse user, you can use your scroll wheel to zoom in and out, or as a touch user, you can scroll here. This one didn't actually introduce any multi-touch, but I'll show you another multi-touch on the side. The point is that you can take existing mouse-based applications and with only making some considerations in how you build your user interface, you can make them very touch optimized and a much better experience for touch-based devices with no additional development effort. Yeah, good answer.
So as you are converting it from a tablet to a keyboard, a mouse, it knows which event to use, touch screen,
No, we
touch
keep
versus
we keep the touch
mouse.
screen active at all times. It's It's actually funny if you go into our software lab at Dell. There's like fingerprints
Where?
all over. No. It's just in our office.
Oh.
There's fingerprints all over normal monitors because we can't tell which machines
I
touch
see.
and don't, and it becomes, you walk up behind someone's machine and you just start interacting with it because they've got their hands over the keyboard or something. So I oftentimes find myself, I'll have it in a clamshell mode and I'm using the Duo, but it's quicker to navigate by touching than to try and, articulate the mouse cursor over
Right.
a certain area. So the touch screen on a clamshell mode is actually a fairly useful and valuable feature. So I don't know if any of you have seen these applications before. Microsoft, when they came out with the Surface, they worked with a bunch of design firms to come up with a suite of applications. So this is actually from that application suite. And this is it's a 3D globe that's leveraging Bing Maps. So, very similar to Google Earth, where you can actually kind of navigate around the map. They've implemented, full multi-touch functionality, so you can see, as you pan and zoom and spin the globe.
Can you change it a bit? Your viewing angle of your display is not very good.
Here you go.
Sorry.
Would it be better if you have a photo sessions afterwards, close up, more efficient?
Yeah.
So this is an application where using the mouse, it's not as special of an experience. The zooming and you don't have the pinch zoom, you don't have any of the rotation or any of the the physics that's been built into here. You can do these sorts of things with mouse, but the level of whimsy that you get out of something like that is just not there. So this would be more along the lines of creating a full-blown touch-only experience, where you would still be getting some value for mouse users or for traditional netbook users, but in reality you're trying to step the bar up in the hopes that your application really shines from a touch platform experience in something like the App Store.
Can you tell us how many touch points the display has? It's like 2, 3? Well, apparently it's multi-touch.
Yeah, it's at least 2.
I guess capacitive.
You guess that?
It looks like.
So
I think that's pretty much our presentation here. So I think key takeaway again, I think this device, as we said before, will be out by the end of the year.
Before Christmas.
Price point?
By the end of the year, no pricing is being revealed yet.
Before Christmas?
By the end of the year. And we know there's a lot of interest in trying to understand more of the capabilities of this device, and we will be providing that in the near future. So bear with us, and then we'll try to get this information out to all of you. I think